Okay, review of related literature. So as stated class in the previous chapter, the review of related literature is one of the components of a research process. So you as an investigator or a researcher needs to review write-ups, readings, studies, which is related to your present study for you to determine the similarities and differences of your findings between the past and the present studies. Also, class, presenting the related literature aims to gain insight into the aspects of your problem that are critical and controversial. Also, a review of related legal bases as well as literature and studies provide you, as a researcher, a background regarding the aspects that have been studied and not yet studied. Also, it will assist you on what to do on the components of the research process. Also, it will give you ideas on how to proceed with your study until its completion. So, you class, as the researcher, should have the ability to compare between what you should read and what to include in your study, and what you should not read and does not need to be included in your study. So you must know that, okay? You have to determine what to include and not to include, and what to read and not to read. So basically, um, you as a researcher is required to read all the literature and studies, but it should only be partially. Okay, it should be partial only, and it should be closely related to your study. What do you mean by related? Related class means the legal basis, or it could be the literature and the studies which have the direct bearing or relationship to your present study. So, in your research paper, or maybe in your thesis, or in your dissertation, or maybe just like what you will have next sem, your research project. So, the review of related literature should have three parts. Okay, and these three parts are the related legal basis, the related literature, and the related studies. So the very common here is the related literature and the related studies. But last, these three should be included within your chapter 2 or within your review of related literature. So let us discuss each of this and what is included here. First is the related legal basis. So this part class, or this section, or this portion of your review of related literature is very important. Okay, this is very important in your research paper, in your thesis, or even in your dissertation. It's because this part class, or this portion, determines, okay, the relevance of the study to the government's, the costs. Okay, so where can we find this information? We can find this from laws, existing laws, or even from the department directives, like for example, circulars, orders, even memoranda, and even others. So it could be a CHED memorandum, or it could be a circular number, or maybe an order, executive order, or others, which are directives from the government. Okay, but class, take note that these directives, these laws that you will present in your study should only be related to your study. So for example, your study is about making solar power, or solar backup solar panels, something like that, or you will fabricate a project that uses alternative energy, for example. So you will think, what are the laws regarding these renewable resources? Is there a law, or are there any executive order given by the Department of Energy, or maybe the law regarding this? So yun yung hahanapin mo. Yun yung mga hahanapin mong mga memorandum or mga circular numbers or mga orders or even laws that exist. Again, it should only be related to your present studies. Okay? These laws that you will find, these directives will serve as your legal basis for the paradigm of your study class. So when you are trying to present this related legal basis, you have to arrange it. You have to arrange it chronologically from the recent to the past. Okay? Take note, from the recent to the past. So you have to cite those laws or even memorandum or even orders that is related to your study. You have to cite them. You have to tell all, and it should be explained. Remember, class, it should be explained. Each legal basis that you will cite that is related to your study, you should explain them, and it is included in your review of related literature. Okay, so for us to have more understanding of this, we have here an example. Okay, let's say, for example, your study is by the way, class, this study is qualitative, so it's a little bit out of your topic because you'll be making a research project, but of course you'll get an idea out of this. So let's say your study is, you want to know the correlation between job-related problems and job performance of staff nurses both in private and government hospitals in the city and province of Iloilo. So let's say this is our study. So what will be the content of your review of related literature? So you will look for related legal basis. Okay? Like for example, this one. Blah 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 blah. So this is all about nursing law. It's because your topic is all about staff nurses. Of course, your laws or your directives should be related to nurses also. And this one is the nursing law, the Philippine nursing law. So blah 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 blah. So you will cite it. Okay? You will cite the law, and after that, you have to explain it. Take note, you have to explain ano ba yung minention dito. Sabi dito, according to the nursing law, the nurse's role should be continually progress in the pace of technological, sociological, economic changes in society, so on and so forth. Sabi dyan. So, ano daw ibig sabihin o ano yung gustong ipahiwatig ng law? So, i-explain mo yun. Okay? Na based from the blah blah blah, blah 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 blah. Okay? So, in each legal basis that you will cite, you have to explain it. Okay? Now, another. Here. Republic Act. So, RA is another law. Okay? In this case, the Philippine Nursing Act of 1991. So, another law. So, sinite mo ulit siya kasi related siya. No? So, after citing, you will explain it again. Okay? So, every time you will mention or you will cite in your review of related literature, you have to explain it. Okay? Now, that's all about legal basis, class. Remember, legal basis are those laws and even department directives. So again, those are our sources. Okay, when you are trying to find legal basis, related legal basis, you have to find from the laws, existing laws, and or it could be executive order, or it could be memorandum, or it could be circulars and others that are related to the government. Okay, that's the source of our legal basis. Again, class, you should bear in mind that if you don't explain legal basis, Okay? If you will not explain it, then your study will be unscientific. Hindi pwedeng basta ka lang mag-cite na according to blah blah blah, blah RA 184 blah 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 blah. And after that, wala ka nang sinabi. Yung ginawa mo lang is sinite mo lang. So hindi pwede yun. Dapat i-explain mo rin. Ano yung sabihin ng law na yan na mention mo? Ano yung connect niya sa study mo? Okay? So it's very important. You should bear in mind that you should explain every time you cite a legal basis. Now, another part which is included in your review of related literature is this related literature itself. Class, magkaiba yung related legal basis sa related literature. Ano yung pinagkaiba? Literature, first, let us define it according to Funk and Wamnall's dictionary in 1976. Literature may be defined as written works, collectively, especially those enduring importance, exhibiting creative imagination and artistic skill, which are written in a particular period, language, and subject. What does this mean? In other words, class, any written materials which is published, maybe in a book, in a journal, maybe a magazine, a novel, maybe a poetry, or maybe a yearbook, and even encyclopedia. Those are considered as literature. Again, any written material which are published. Okay? Published in a book, journal, magazine, novel, poetry, so on. Okay? So, the same with related legal basis, your related literature should be presented in a chronological order from recent to past. Okay? But there are some universities class which allow an arrangement that the review of literature can be in alphabetical order according to the topic. Okay, but mostly we should present our review literature from recent to past. Okay, so it depends on the school or maybe the university, but mostly we follow the recent to past. And the same, we have to explain every literature that we are citing. Okay, we have to explain the relevance. Like for example, you cite a certain book that according to this book, blah 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 blah. So you have to explain it afterwards. Okay, and remember, it's very unscientific if you will not explain or you will not give explanation kung ano yung relevance niya sa study mo. Kasi, natotoo naman, ba't mo pa sinama dyan yan sa literature mo kung wala naman siyang connect? Ano yung connect? Diba? So, you have to tell something about it. Why did you include it there in your literature? So, for example, class, you have here, by the way, the source of related literature, like I've mentioned, is that, okay, there. So this is an example. So still our study, for example, for instance, is about the correlation of job performance to job problems. So if you can observe, Morey is an author. Okay, name of an author or surname of an author. So in this literature, it's a journal of nursing administration. So take note, guys. He mentioned here the year, maybe the year of publication, as well as the author. See, So, minention niya yung journal, which is its source. So, consider siya as literature. Now, after citing what did he do? He explained the literature itself. So, the article of Moray, blah, 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 blah. So, always remember that class. You have to explain it. Okay? So, again, you can take from a book, or it could be a journal, or it could be any written material. Okay? Another there. This is another taken from a journal. Yeah. And after that, he explained it again there. So very important. Okay? So do you get the difference between a legal basis and literature? I hope you get it. The only difference there, class, is the source. Okay? And the content, of course. Legal basis is different. Now, the other part is the related studies. Ano naman ito? Related studies, class, these are published and unpublished research studies. Okay? So, katulad ninyo, gagawa kayo ng paperworks, diba? Kasi magkakanda kayo ng research. Of course, meron kayong paperworks na, meron kayong chapters 1 to 4, 1 to 5, ganyan. So, i-ano nyo yan, ipapa-hardbound. So, of course, that is considered as unpublished kasi nasaan lang naman siya, diba? Sa school lang naman siya. So, kung matapos na kayo, it's already considered as related studies. Or for example, yung study mo ngayon is you want to fabricate a circuit trainer. You want to develop a circuit trainer. So, ano yung magiging related studies mo? Eh, syempre, yung mga nauna na or yung mga nakagawa na ng circuit trainer din. So, kukuha ka doon ng part sa ginawa nila o sa libro nila. So, kukuha ka doon ng related sa topic mo ngayon. Nakuha nyo? So, yung mga published or kahit yung mga hindi published na mga research din na katulad na ginagawa mo are what we consider as related studies. Okay? And take note, class, that this related studies can be foreign and can be local. So, local, which means dito lang sa atin, maybe in the Philippines, or kahit dito lang sa school natin. Okay? While obviously, yung foreign is yung nasa ibang bansa. You can check out, class, the Google Scholar. Marami yung mga research papers na andyan. Okay? Just search for the internet at marami yung mga published and even unpublished na mga related studies. Just type your topic and marami kang makikita. Okay? So, the same, class, with other related legal basis and related literature, that you have to present it in chronological order, from recent to past also. And very important, you have to give explanation whenever you cite related study. For example, you chose na gamitin yung related study ng previous year o previous na mga graduates. So, i-explain mo din yung ginawa nila. Sasabi nila nito, gumawa sila ng circuit trainer, pero kasi kulang, and so on. So, yung ginawa nila is sa ganitong subject, and so on and so forth. Okay? So, it's very important that you explain it afterwards. So, yung mga examples naman dito, class, is eto. Ayan. Ito local siya, class. Take note, this is in Quezon City. Take note the source, class. MA thesis in nursing. Master of Arts yata yung ibig sabihin ng MA mo. So obviously, it's also a research paper. Research thesis, this case, thesis pala siya. To study din siya. So locally made siya. So after na minention niya yung relevance niya sa topic, so explain niya. Diba? So, again, very important that you explain it afterwards. So, kahit konti lang, compare the related studies, compare sa explanation. So, konti lang explanation niya. Ito naman class sa foreign. Ayan. So, obviously, this is dissertation naman. Oo, sa ibang bansa. Sa New York naman ito. Ayan. And then, explain din niya. Ayan. So, ganyan class. Okay? So, remember that when doing your chapter 2 or your review of related literature, there should be 3 parts. There should be 3 parts. First is the related legal basis. The second is the review of literature. And the third one is the review of related studies. So, dapat meron dyan. Kompleto siya. Okay? So, yun din, napaka-importante na included siya. At bakit nga ulit? Bakit napaka-importante na included ito? Is because this will help you to continue or it will give you idea kung paano gawin. Paano ka mag-proceed sa research process mo, class. Kasi kukuha ka ng idea Kasi ito na yung time na kukuha ka ng idea sa iba. Kasi diba nung chapter 1 natin, yung nagawa ko pa lang is meron kang problema. So, halimbawa, gagawa ako ng solar lamp, for example. Okay, so paano mo gagawin yun? Diba? Oo, alam ko na out of salt. Yeah, okay. So, paano? Ano kaya yung mga problema na pwedeng magkukur? Ano kaya yung process na gagawin ko? Ano yung mga disadvantages? So, ito na yung class. Ito na yung time kung saan malalaman mo. Kasi class, magre-research kayo, magre-review ka sa mga nagawa na. Diba? Kasi titignan mo yung mga ibang study, yung mga natapos na. Titignan mo yung mga ginawa nila. Kukuha ka ng idea. Kasi related siya sa topic mo Although, hindi pwedeng magkaparehas class. Kasi class, di ba sabi natin, when we are conducting research, it should be original. Diba? So, hindi mo kokopyahin yung nila, yung gawa nila. Yung gagawin mo lang, magre-review ka lang. Tama? Magre-review means kukuha ka ng idea, kukuha ka ng information. Diba? Oo, kasi parang yun yung mag-guide sa'yo. Yun yung mag-guide sa'yo sa kung ano yung gagawin mo. Nakukuha nyo? So, very important. Especially yung sa mga laws class, sa mga legal basis. Very important yan. Oo, kasi baka gumawa ka dyan ng solar panel na may nilalapag ka palang law regarding energy. So, hindi ka basta-basta gagawa. Diba? You have to review the existing laws. So, baka gumawa ka dyan ng hydroelectric power plant or ng protection sa bahay nyo or ng isang device na may nilalapag palang batas. Diba? So, dapat malaman mo yun. Oo. At napaka-importante din na i-check mo rin yung mga existing na related studies kasi baka gawa ka ng gawa dyan tapos yung ending is napakamahal pala, napaka-expensive, tapos yung mga gamit pala is hindi pala dito, wala pala dito sa Pilipinas, sa abroad lang, yung mga ganun. So, it's very important. Etong chapter 2 natin, it will tell you, it will guide you sa mga susunod pang steps sa ating research process.